Super. So we are live. Hey, Manard, how are you?
Hi, thanks. I'm good. How are
Awesome. It's
you?
great. I'm good, thanks. It's super to have you. Let me just double check. Yep. Okay. We're on Twitter as well. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited about this. And yeah, I'm happy to chat.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited. I don't know. I've been seeing you doing all these interviews for a while, so it's nice to be on one.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you for joining me. Usually, like I tend to start these always by asking a little bit about your background and like how you got into the space of crypto art. You've been around for a while. You've tokenized a lot of work on super rare, really like early on. So I'd love to know how it all started for you.
Yeah, it actually was kind of a lucky coincidence, but what I can say is that I always dreamed about something like that I could just sell my work natively in the digital form and not make prints of it or something. And basically it was just right after my graduation, but I was always I was posting my work on Tumblr a long time, even before going to like my bachelor study. I was like later on posting on Instagram, but like there was always like this missing point of what to do with that work. It was like only like a side product and then searching for clients later. So basically around 2019 I graduated, and then I had some 3D regular job, and I kind of got curious. I always been curious about crypto, but like I don't know, at the time something interested brought the interest back, and I just on Twitter, somehow saw super rare and rare digital art, and I was like, "Yeah, this is for me." I didn't even get it what it is, but I was immediately like sold on it, and I applied to super rare, and like in a week they answered, and I think like then application process was super easy. I mean, like it was the same process, but like there was no like thousands of people applying per week, so I got in, and I'm happy I found it.
And when was that?
It was 2019. I think my first token is like 2019 December.
Oh wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's quite a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm an OG, but I mean, there was a lot of like X copy and all those people were way beyond earlier than me, but still, yeah, it's quite early. There was like my biggest like at the time I remember like the sales were like around $100. If somebody got a sale of $100, that was like insane. And then like
Yeah.
few months later, I remember there's even this tweet. Puck made the sale for like $5,000, and everyone also thought this is absolutely insane. I remember that moment. I also thought, oh my gosh, wow. But like, yeah, now that's like an everyday life for everyone. It's crazy how fast things change.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, speaking to like a lot of the artists, especially the earlier artists, as you mentioned, like, in 2019 and 2000, even early 2020, like most of the trading was from like artist to artist. So
Yeah,
obviously, like the an ETH was, a lot less than what it is now. So
yeah.
everything is kind of like put into proportion, which is pretty incredible. But I'd love to kind of like, you mentioned like before that for you it's like almost and for you and a lot of other kind of like natively digital like 3D artists, it's almost, a dream to have like a medium that allows for you to like express yourself in that full capacity and really be able to like experiment with that medium.
Yeah.
I'd love to like know a little bit more about this and like what it meant also for you, like as an artist, like this journey from 2019 up until now.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest factor for me is like that the work, yeah, the work, like the people can finally see the value of just purely digital stuff, and like it's enough. that is just digital. It doesn't need like to be printed or painted or like wrapped in a fancy package or something, because like digital artists can be seen as craftsmen and like uh, fully like as any other artist or any other physical artist. So there's like even saying digital artist, I sometimes feel like is redundant, because like why separate it, you know? So for me, that's like really important that there's this shift, global shift, that we can appreciate the work for what it is and just live in the medium of the digital. Um, so on the journey for me is been I think I always been like I've been obsessed with like paintings, and that's how like kind of I remember in the super rare application form I was telling to them that like I'm doing these 3D interpretations of these paintings, and I think it's kind of makes sense that they would be sold because they're like paintings but digital, and like that was kind of funny. And yeah, that was kind of my core thing, that yeah, I mean everybody sells like real paintings, but I'm gonna like sell these digital paintings, and it really kind of worked out, and I think it still makes sense. But now for me it's more about the medium and thinking about painting. What does it mean to paint in this century? And with these tools what we have, I like to imagine, for example, and ask questions like what would Dali do with Blender or any other 3D software, because like when I look at those works I just see how like fitting they would be, this medium of 3D, let's say, and NFTs in general also. So I'm just busy with like pushing this painting aspect, and like not also I'm hoping that my work not necessarily looks like a 3D render. I want it to be seen more as a painting, but like not in a classical sense, but like that I approach 3D as also as a way of painting with light and not only a collage. Uh, there's like certain 3D artists that like I don't know, like Beeple would be like the most easiest example, but not in a bad way. That he downloads assets. He has this massive library and he places them, and it's like a collage of things. Although recently he also has been, you can see he has this overlay of stuff, and it becomes more painterly. But I think in general he started like approach it as a collage and storytelling, and for me it's more about like also the medium, and that I can achieve this painterly or this painting kind of the idea of painting through 3D. So, and I think it's very fitting also the whole NFT narrative.
That's super interesting. So how does your kind of I mean, I think like from your work you can see like light and color. I mean, personally, like there's two things, like light and color like really kind of show up like in a lot of your work, like even in the background
Hmm.
that we have here, but looking at your profile on like super rare, like there's just this idea of like kind of like blending light and color, which is like extremely like interesting. How do
Hmm.
you approach doing work? Like, do you start from like a painting and kind of like move it into digital, or like do you reimagine the painting immediately into like the digital form?
Yeah, like when I was doing the uh, classical painting interpretations, then basically how I started was I just saw a painting and it really like spoke to me, and I saw that this could be done so well in 3D and it might look even better than the original. And then the additional value is all the different angles that you achieve, and all of those painting interpretations have also been kind of like a study of just like like when I do them, you constantly just look and see, and you see things, you like at first glance you look at the painting, you think you see everything, but actually you don't, you miss a lot of stuff. Like when you really look and recreate, you learn a lot about the work. And also when I've been doing, let's say, a lot of Dali, you pick up on certain things and things that repeat, and like you learn really by looking. And so like I could even say that all has been a study to the work that I'm like transitioning now, which is like more that I approach it like even also in the 3D stuff. Like it's important for me that, like, for example, if there's any textures or anything or models, that they're always myself made, you know, like, because otherwise it becomes cold and distant. So I need to have this connection with every object and material and stuff in the digital space, so it becomes like mine in a way. And then lately I've been also doing this like repainting on top, also sometimes for the uh, painting interpretation, but especially for my recent work, I've been like repainting on top with on my iPad in Procreate on top of the renders, and like getting it a bit smudgy and stuff, and like really taking off the sharpness of a 3D render, because yeah, the renders sometimes are too good, and they and sometimes, yeah, there's also these denoising techniques I use, like usually people are striving to like render their stuff at like the highest sample rate. Let's say you put like 3,000 samples, so every like square block of your render is the machine goes over 300,000 times, and you get like this insane sharp I don't know, architectural render. For me, I want the opposite. I want it to kind of be blurry and a bit not clear and a bit smudgy. So I like put, like, I have this denoiser on and I put 0 samples on. So it's like kind of like, yeah, it has noise, but it cleans it up and it becomes like this blurry smudge, which is like subtle effect. And yeah, I like to explore that. Also in the Rothko interpretation, that was the core technique, how I achieve this kind of painterly render. So tricks and things like that I am busy thinking about.
It's funny how you said, that you like to, because as you mentioned, like a lot of the digital tools that are available at the moment, like do almost like enable that like perfection, right? Like in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, like you can do like perfect lines or perfect shapes. So it's interesting that you mentioned that actually you want to, try and like do the opposite and like work the other way around, and like try from the digital to almost like make it look more of like a physical painting, in a way that like there's things that are um things that are smudgy or like, all over the place, which is usually what happens as well when you paint like physically.
Yeah, it's like a way to achieve the warmth, when you see like a real painting, there is like this human touch factor. And I think when it's very easy in 3D to make something like that looks nice, but it's really like cold and like has no
Mhm.
like soul. Or like an illustration also can be like look nice, but it's like really cold and distant. So I think it's important to somehow uh, I mean, put yourself in there. I don't know, like for me, it's like my perspective is through like painting, but I mean, there's different ways to achieve this humanness, and like, it depends on the artist. So yeah.
And how important do you think is, or how important it is for you, I guess, like the connection between historical like artists and like, traditional art? You mentioned like, Rothko, you mentioned Dali, like obviously like you mentioned a lot of like um traditional artists and big names, like how, yeah, how important it is for you to make this connection, and also like to take, I guess, learnings from the past.
I mean, it's important. I guess everything is kind of a reference of a reference. And for me, as I'm just like, I guess I'm still quite young, and I'm like, it's been these painting interpretations, as I said, been quite of a study as well for myself to learn about these paintings and to find my own path. And what was the question again? Sorry.
How important it is for you to kind of like take from learnings of, past, like art history and artists as well in the past?
I guess, yeah, it's quite important. I mean, I like also I like when people can relate to something. At least I like work that I relate to something. When I see something, even in fashion, I see like, I don't know, and like clear references that are in a new form, like some brands or Balenciaga or someone does some cool new like show, and you see what they're inspired of, or what element has been like worked on, and like I think people immediately can relate to that in their own way, and that's why I think also these painting interpretations have been like quite successful, because people know most of the people know those paintings, and they see it in a new light, and they are excited about it. So it's important, very important for me, because it's if I that's the kind of work I like myself. So yeah.
And when you know, you mentioned like obviously you're very young, as a lot of artists in the space are, and a lot of people like in the NFT space are and aren't. But for sure, like there's a lot of like young kind of like digital artists. Like, what do you think this space provides, NFTs in general, like as a medium and the blockchain, to younger artists working like in these mediums or in any artistic medium, really?
What does it provide? It provides like a massive opportunity, I think, and it's actually crazy how I think people have a lot of like, how to say this, like judgments about crypto space. People that have no idea about this space have a lot of judgments about the space. They think it's all about the money for them, and like it's all about like some scams, or they don't trust it, and it's kind of a shame, because it's really like I really believe in it, and this art, the NFTs and art is just the beginning, in my opinion, and like it's so much more than that, and I think it should be taught in every school and everywhere, and people should hear about it, and hopefully we can get beyond those judgments from people from outside the bubble. At least like I am from Latvia currently, and um, yeah, I don't know. There's not much. I mean, I know maybe one or two more NFT artists from where I'm from. Like it's kind of crazy. Um,
And
I wish.
what do the people around you like say about this,
I
like
mean,
what
I
do
have
they?
everyone around me, of course, is excited, but like I have friends. Like I mean, I'm kind of like, well, they're excited, of course, for me, but they still not directly participate, I would say, for various reasons. I mean, I have also a lot of friends that are like physical, like work in the physical medium, and they don't necessarily need to be in the NFT space, let's say. Um, I mean, it's also a bit of a shock for everyone, and at the beginning, I mean, it's been a while since I'm here, so I feel like I've educated a lot of people around me. So it's hard to say.
Has there been any, obviously, like, you've been around for a while, so I'm sure you've kind of like created as well like your own community of like artists and like collectors and people around you, but has there been like people that you've been inspired by that have been um you know like any form of like inspiration, doesn't have to be artistic, but in general, people that you've kind of like built together with?
Um, I mean, I mean, there's been some, I don't know if I'm so good at this social thing. I cannot say I'm really good at this socials and Twitter and everything, but I definitely have encountered many like amazing people in here. I must say that like I had a collaboration with Puck, and like I don't know, talking with him and like the way he thinks and everything was super inspiring. I mean, it's like a biggest name I could call, but it really is true. Like he's on the next different level. Like I don't even know if it's a him or he, or like is that a group of people, but that's definitely been inspiring. And also I'm super grateful that I had the opportunity to work with him. So, and also a lot of many other experiences with collectors. I've established some great connections. Like, I think my biggest collector is Tennessee Jed. I don't know if you know, but like shout outs to him because like he's my I think biggest collector, and like he's also it feels like a good friend. And yeah, there's more, but those are the most notable.
Yeah, I often, when I have these chats, like there's always like obviously like being in the space, like within like crypto art, there's like a lot of things that you need to think about as an artist. Like you're not only, doing the art, but also there's like self-promotion, there's like that social aspect that you were mentioning, like community, relationship with collectors.
Mm-hmm.
How have you found that? And also, what are your thoughts on this? Like, is it, empowering for artists to be able to essentially like manage all of these on your own? What are your thoughts on this?
I remember when Super Rare was quite new, like let's say 2020, 2019, there wasn't the bubble yet. I was very active, I think quite active in the Discord, but like at one point it got so much I just couldn't keep up with it. And it happened a lot of stuff with a lot of stuff really, like with a lot of other groups. And at one point the messages just flow so much it takes like the whole day to keep up and it feels like you're missing out. And then you're just like, and for me I just like just stop. Like I don't care, and like there's things in life that's going on, and like I cannot be reading Discord all the time. And I also don't see like that much purpose on it. I think for me the best is connecting one on one, or like even this kind of talk I feel is like really good. But like following massive discords is not my thing. And also about the social thing, I guess some people are just naturally good at it. They like have great tweets every hour and like they just can do that. For me, it's not like that. And it's kind of yeah, it depends on the person, and I think it's great for the ones that it works out for them, and for others, it definitely is harder. I've also seen like some artists that just say openly, "Okay, I cannot keep up with this. I'm just gonna like do it my way, and if that hurts my sales or something, let it be. But like at least I'm happy, you know." Like, and I'm kind of on that side that I'm not gonna like artificially like spam or post something that I don't need to. It's like more like a natural growth, and even if it's slower, at least I'm not suffering or something. Not saying the people that are active are suffering, but it's just not working for me. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting, to see like different personalities as well, like in general, like but in especially in the space, like it feels like there's a lot of things that obviously you have to take upon and do yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
so people are like naturally like more inclined to or less inclined to, so yeah, it's a lot for sure.
Yeah, it's
um
a
i
lot.
have your I have your super rare profile up. I wanted to kind of like look through some of your work because I think it would be nice to like chat a little bit about like also like how maybe like it's changed through time a little bit, and like what have been factors of like inspiration and also like creative like process and change since when you started tokenizing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Feel free to like point me into anything that you'd like to speak about. On my side, like
Uh,
I have one piece that I think it's amazing, which is this one, the 70 paintings.
yeah, yeah. It's quite all. I mean, yeah, it's quite different. It was actually quite unexpected. I was quite happy the how it turned out, and it was a perfect loop as well, which I also I'm not a big fan, but like it worked in this case, and it really looked like these brushstrokes going in a circle, and it was like this experiment with like it's like this glass, like transparent. It's actually a scene, like if you imagine like random shapes in a 3D scene, and then there's like this glass transparent panel in front, which is like doing this movement. And so the colors are just mixing up. It's like a palette underneath, and like this transparent glass is moving and making that stuff up, which is kind of crazy. And it was very like a sudden thing, unexpected, and I also like it a lot. Although I haven't posted it on my Instagram or.
It's amazing. It almost feels like it's like kind of like, you know, when you melt metal, like it creates like the that fluid. Like I don't know, it reminds me of that. But
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like when you do it we do it in Latvia for Christmas, like it's called pouring your luck, and you like, I don't know, it's like some cheap like aluminium, something really like that melts easy, and then you throw it in the water and it makes this random shape, and then that random shape is like you have to like, it's like abstract random thing that's supposed to bring you luck, and you have to figure out what it is.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's a really cool one. But there's many, like I think when you were mentioning Rothko, which is here, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, these two ones. I think like, you know, if you look for your profile, like there's many different like you don't like, obviously like your style is recognizable, but at the same time I feel like you experiment a lot with like different kind of like
I don't I actually been thinking about this already forever. I would love to have like these subcategories or somehow arrange stuff, because like sometimes the only thing that's holding me back to going, even like I cannot even say that it holds me back because it sounds bad, because it's just an interface, but the interface is holding me back sometimes posting something, because I would love to like separate my painting interpretations from these like random animations or my latest work, and I feel like I can get back to any of those points, but like they're all mixing together, and can be confusing for a new person that just goes through my work. What am I actually doing? But like, yeah, I'm not the kind of person to also have like this single style that just does this one thing. It's more like a long-term development of things that interest me, and then I approach them from many sides. But it's true that there is many different things.
And some of them are like, you know, series, like for example, the shattered image ones. I also personally really like these two, like At Rest and At Motion. I think they're amazing. Yeah. But I guess like in your earlier pieces, and I'd love to maybe like hear it like from you. I don't know, like personally, I feel like there's kind of like some form of like, you know, landscapes, like you're working more like with like backgrounds of like nature. Is that something that you're like currently kind of like experimenting and working on?
I mean, nature in general is like a massive inspiration, and like environments, I always like to have my work in kind of an environment. It's also a thing that you can relate to, because people, I think, relate and imagine space quite well. And so, like, for example, the latest work is like you could see it as a manifestation, like a painter's imagination that comes to alive. So there's this abstract painting you see, which is also my made, and then there's this physical kind of thing in the space, which could be suggestive that the painter has been painting that, or but like it's so surreal that, and the landscape is kind of realistic that it's like makes no sense. So there's like this tension between what is real, what's not, and what is the painter actually painting, and then the whole thing is actually a painting itself, like if you take a step back from the scene. So yeah, and, like yeah, nature, I mean, it's also like nature has been painted forever already, so it's also this natural reference to painting, to work with nature.
And in this piece specifically, like, did you kind of like start with like the painting as the background and like develop with the like the 3D kind of like shape on top?
I actually started with just that little little painting. I was just
Okay.
yeah, I have a
This
couple of
one.
them. Yeah, the little canvas.
Yeah, amazing.
It starts with that, and then it continues with then. But I have kind of an idea in my head. Then I make this random, not random, but like kind of brush strokes interpreted, like kind of fluid, like kind of if you would paint with a brush real quick, something like that. I try to make as a 3D model. Then I texture it, and then later the environment is actually the last step. How I place the scene. That's like the last step. So yeah.
And what do you think about, obviously, like, for example, like seeing now, I was thinking whilst I was seeing like this object, like, what do you think about 3D integration, like in the metaverse? So, like in virtual worlds, like kind of like taking like these, 3D objects and like placing them in, a space that is also like native to the digital, form, which is something that you couldn't pretend, like you couldn't do in a museum or in like in a physical space, essentially.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, of course. It just for me, I lose the control of like making it painterly because it's also then this kind of software-ish thing that just dumps the model in like, and they have this like light that is default, like this HDRI default light that you cannot influence on, and I think the light is so important. So it becomes really about the model, which is great because I mean, which is great, but it's also I am excited about other stuff as well. But how I would use it, I would use it in like kind of, it would complement maybe my work, and then you can explore also the model or the scene. So it would like be together with the static image or the video, let's say.
Yeah. What do you think are, things that like, let's say things that you would like, you're excited about and you would like to see maybe like in the space? Like, you mentioned, obviously, like you mentioned, like some of the UI or UX like experiences within the platform. Like, is there anything else that you feel like, I've been like tokenizing my work for 2 years almost. I'd love to see this like moving forward. Like, I feel maybe it could like push you as well as an artist.
Um, I'm not sure. I mean, like if I'm talking about like super, I don't know if I can suggest them what they should do, but like there's folders I have really felt. But what I'm thinking is like the people, what I'm personally thinking I'm planning to do is like create my own like space and kind of this metaverse you're talking about. So it would like gonna work, or I'm working on a website that is gonna be like a gallery, kind of digital gallery experience, and then it links back to kind of to those marketplaces. So then I'm in more of a control of that metaverse instead of like the current ones like crypto voxels and what's the other one called. So I would
Sometimes
be,
with.
yeah. So I would myself create that space, and then super rare would, or any other marketplace would be like this practical reference point for people to actually buy the work, but like you could experience it on my own platform, something like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're building your own little metaverse.
Yeah, well, I mean that's a big word, metaverse, more more like a little gallery for digital gallery. Yeah. Uh, yeah.
Do you think like, because when we speak about like galleries and like digital spaces, like obviously there's also like almost like a form of like architecture kind of like idea that kind of comes into play,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which is really interesting. I mean, to me it's like really interesting, like the whole idea of like architecture like in these spaces. Is that something that um kind of like you're thinking about, you're interested
Yeah, yeah,
in?
definitely. I mean, it's great to see when someone does like like kind of white wall, white cube kind of gallery, but he does it great in the metaverse. Like there was this collector, I think he's called Barat or something, and he made this experience was really great. But it was like just like white walls, like cube walls, and but the works looked really good. Like the website loaded really quick. It was really smooth, but the architecture was like super simple, which is great for people as like a starting point to like for this classical gallery experience. But I think you should break free, and also in my kind of experience will like take the architecture will become part of the experience, of course. It will not be just a cube. You know,
Yeah,
you can I can
absolutely.
like the my scenes itself, like a scene itself, a work can be a space for other works as well in the setting, like. And I wouldn't necessarily like make a white cube gallery when like there's infinite possibilities in the digital space. Unlike the physical architecture, which takes so much work, or um, you know, physics and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, absolutely. Well, amazing. I mean, thank you so much for your time. Like, it was incredible to speak. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do with your gallery and seeing it like come to life.
Yeah, it's gonna take some time, but it will come. I mean, I need some good coder people, but it definitely will happen in
Who
like I think
doesn't?
yeah, I plan to finish it before the end of the year for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much. It was super to chat. So
yeah,
thanks a lot
thank you.
for your time.
Yeah, of
Thank
course,
you.
and thank you for the great questions. Okay, bye.
Amazing. Ciao, ciao. Bye.